Hello YouTube, Goddard Radio Moscow here again with another beer review for you, as is usual. For this one I have something a little bit different for you. We're going to do another collaboration beer, and this is my first encounter with a proper Italian craft beer. So we're going to do one that is a collaboration between Thistle from Copenhagen in Denmark and Brewfist, who are from Lombardia in the north of Italy. The exact town is Cordogno, so it should be quite an interesting one this. I've heard very good things about Brewfist, and I would love to do more Italian reviews for you, but it's really quite difficult to get a hold of Italian craft beer, but it's becoming more readily available, so hopefully I can do more Italian stuff for you in the quite near future. But anyway, as is usual with my beer reviews then, I'll take you through a very brief history. It'll be very short because I'll take you through both breweries, but if you are simply interested in the tasting of the beer, feel free to fast forward a few minutes into the video and you will get straight to the tasting. The brewery websites are in the video description for you below, along with a link to my other reviews from Thistle, and I'll also put a link there that will take you to my future reviews from Brewfist as well. I really want to do more stuff from them. But anyway, to tell you a little bit about Thistle first, this brewery was formed by Tobias Emil Jensen and Tori Gainter, who were students of Mikkel Bjergso, the big boss of Mikkeller, and originally they brewed with him in their school kitchens, but that was back in 2005, around that time, and they continued to homebrew until 2010 when they founded Thistle, which is Danish essentially for two beers. But when Mikkel Bjergso heard that his former students were still brewing, he insisted that they did a collaboration brew together, and this became the very first commercial Thistle beer, the double IPA or IIPA, however you want to describe it. But despite their short existence, they've gained much acclaim in craft beer circles, and they've distributed to over 30 different countries these days. They're quite partnered up with Mikkeller obviously, and they use a lot of the same distribution networks. A very nice brewery. But as is the case with Mikkeller, they're also a gypsy brewery, so they don't have their own brewing equipment, and they use spare capacity at other large breweries. And in Norrebro in Copenhagen, they have a collaborative beer bar with Mikkeller, which is called Mikkeller and Friends. And this beer pub, if you like, has an exclusive bottle shop, and you can get over 40 different tap beers at any one time, and that's Thistle's kind of home base, if you like. So go and check that out if you do find yourself in Copenhagen in Denmark. Now, for Brewfist, these guys are a small brewery based in the Lombardia region in northern Italy, and they were founded back in 2010 by three friends who had a passion for craft beer. Pietro Del Pilato is one of the founders, and he's also the head brewer, and he says that they're part of a new generation of Italian brewers and a market that is beginning to really thrive in Italy. Now, Pietro apparently spent time gaining brewing experience at Fuller's Brewery in England before he launched the flagship beer for Brewfist, which is the Spaceman IPA, and the brewery want to produce high quality and hugely drinkable beers, and their motto is more people, more beer. So this is quite a good one for that. The Italians are a very hospitable people in my opinion, and they like their sort of big gatherings and things, so it's quite a good motto that actually for an Italian brewery. So that's your kind of brief history of both of the breweries. I'm really excited to try one from Brewfist. This is my first Italian craft beer review, if you like. Hopefully I can get the Spaceman IPA. That's meant to be beautiful, their flagship beer. And I'll just bring up the camera and let you have a little look at the artwork on this one, if I can get that to work. So here we are. It's really nicely done actually. It's quite similar to the Spaceman. This is more typical, the artwork on this one is more typical of Brewfist than Thistle. Thistle have got some quite random artwork. This is the Brewfist bottle cap on this one, quite nice actually. I'll be keeping that for my collection. This guy has an IBU of 80, I think that is. The alcohol by volume is 6.5. You can also just see on the bottom there's the Thistle symbol. Very nicely presented beer. It says it's best by the 30th of March 2015, so I'm drinking it in plenty of time. Just to tell you about the hop and malt base that goes into this one, it's 6.5% IPA obviously, it's hopped with Citra and Mosaic, and it's got malted Pilsner, oat malt, and also grape must in the malt base of this one. The little product description it gives you on the website says, Californian scrubland may have formed one of history's most evocative frontiers, but as with all others, the American frontier is trumped by that of the most final of all, space. Following the desperate monkey flinging one-upmanship of early space race period, to get anywhere, the big black nowadays, you really need to work together. In testament to this, the Italian brewery Brewfist has collaborated with Thistle to produce Space Frontier, and it's kind of a collaboration with the names as well. Obviously you've got First Frontier and Final Frontier and things like that Thistle do, and then this time you've got Space Frontier, and this is Spaceman IPA is obviously the Brewfist flagship beer. So without further ado, let's get this guy open and get on with the tasting here. I'm really excited to try this one. So a nice frothy Sorry, a nice smoky note opening there. I'm searching for my words. Really excited to try this one. I've wanted to do an Italian beer for quite a long time, but I've only been able to get the likes of Peroni and things like that, so it's really cool to finally have a proper Italian craft beer for you. I'll just check that my camera's not playing up again. But as you can see, the beer is poured a really beautiful kind of hazy golden orangey amber colour. There's a little bit of sediment just coming in the bottom there. I'm not sure how well you can see that, but there's a solid half finger of a frothy white head in there. Really beautiful looking beer. If I put my fingers behind it, you can see it's pretty much not transparent at all. It's completely opaque, and some nice sediment just kind of floating around in there. A really attractive looking beer actually. I'm really interested to try this one. So let's give it a smell. Very juicy and fruity actually. Not quite as piney resiny. It doesn't have as much pine resin as you would normally expect from one of the Toyo beers. They love their pine resin in their beers. So this is probably where the Brewfist influence is coming in. But it's very, very fruity. There's a lot of peach in this one actually. And some nice oranges, but I think it's mainly a peachy aroma that's coming off of this one. A little bit of oranges in the background, as I say. And there is a little bit of grapefruit. You just get that right at the back of the nose when you take it in a little bit more. But you can pick up just a little bit of the kind of bready malt as well. And there's some kind of, you can pick up a little bit of oaty character and some caramel as well. Quite an interesting one. Quite an unusual sort of fruit bouquet that you're getting from this one. But it's very, very nice. A lot of peaches in this one, so really looking forward to trying this one. I think that's maybe the Mosaic hop coming out a little bit more, but a Mosaic and Citra hop IPA will be really interesting. So here we are, my first taste of anything from Brewfist and my 10th or so taste from Toyo. So really cool to do this one. Cheers. I see what they mean when they say they want to create hugely drinkable beers. That is very, very light, and it certainly packs a punch in terms of flavour. Very, very nicely done. Yeah, it's hugely, hugely juicy, and the juiciness almost kind of pushes out a lot of the bitter character. There is a lingering bitter taste that goes around the edge of the tongue, but it's very juicy, very light, and a very wet mouthfeel to this one. It's beautiful, it's very sessionable, and I mean, that's what you would want in Italy, because Italy's obviously very, very hot most of the time. And this, they want to make a nice sessionable, full flavoured beer, so it's very, very well done. But yeah, when you take it in, you get that nice juicy kind of bite from the fruit. It's definitely very peachy, but the citric hops actually come out a little bit more. The citrusy kind of oranges and lemons come out a little bit more just in the front of the taste. It's mainly an orangey taste you get from this one, and you just get this almost juicy bubble forming at the front of the tongue, and then the kind of grapefruity flavour spreads out a little bit more towards the edges. It's a really interesting taste, this one. It's got just a light bit of malt base in it too. Yeah, I mean, it's got just a light little bit of malty character as well. It's slightly bready. There's just a little hint of caramel, but the main component of the flavour in this one is definitely all the fruit. The huge kind of peachy flavours, orangey flavours. It's really, really beautifully done, this one, I have to say. If this is what all of the Brewfist beers are like, I really want to try more of their stuff. Yeah, it's a hugely, hugely juicy beer. That kind of nice, slightly malty character just blankets the tongue, and as I say, you get that nice kind of fruity character, the nice peachy flavours just kind of sitting right at the front of the tongue there. A little bit of kind of, maybe just a little bit of floral character actually coming out too. There's only a tiny, tiny wee bit of pine resin in there, and that's one of the kind of traits of Toyo. They love a good bit of pine resin in their beers, but this one really is more juicy, which is obviously the kind of the Brewfist influence coming out, if you like. But yeah, a lot of juicy oranges in this one. The peaches are kind of mixed in quite well with that, and as I say, you just get a little bit of the grapefruit character kind of spreading around the edge of the tongue there. But it's a beautiful, beautiful beer, this one. If you do get the chance to try this, I think it will only be brewed once unless they change their mind and they like it so much that they keep doing it. But Give it a try if you get the chance. This is one that I think it's quite widely distributed by Brewdog actually. I'm not sure how long I've had this beer. I've got quite a few of these things sitting about, but this is a beautiful one. If you get the chance, definitely try it. In terms of the mouthfeel though, it's very, very light bodied. This is one of the lightest IPAs you'll find. Very, very light. Kind of the carbonation is quite moderate. It helps bring out just a little bit of the hoppy character, the kind of piney raisin. It brings out just a little bit of that, but overall it's actually a very, very smooth and very wet IPA. It's very refreshing. It just has a teeny tiny little bit of an oily character, and that's where you're getting a lot of the fruity esters and a little bit of the malt base coming out there as well. It helps bring out the caramel just a wee bit, but it's got a good bitter character to it as well. It just lingers around the edges of the tongue and sits in the middle there. That's where you've got this lingering bitter grapefruit character, but it's a nice and juicy beer overall. I mean, it's hugely juicy. This is one of the juiciest IPAs that I've come across actually. And the only other one I can think of that was quite as juicy as this was the Shark Biscuit from Weird Beard in London, and this one is a very different beer from that, but it has the same kind of juicy mouthfeel. So if you like the Weird Beard kind of juicy things, this is another kind of recommendation I can make to you on that front. But anyway, I hope you've enjoyed this beer review. I've enjoyed doing my first one from Brewfist, and it's good to have Toul in there as well. Two very, very good breweries from what I can gather so far of Brewfist, and I know Toul are very, very good. Hopefully in the near future I can review some more Brewfist beers for you. I do have another 2 collaboration beers that Brewfist have been involved in, so I will try and get those done for you in the quite near future. I hope you've enjoyed this beer review. Let me know in the comment section your own thoughts on this one if you do happen to have tried it yourself. I always enjoy reading your comments and things like that. And as always, please like, subscribe, share, all the usual YouTube stuff. And Italians, if you're watching, please recommend some beers for me to look at. Hopefully I can come and visit your country in the near future. But anyway, I'll catch you soon with another beer review.